Do you remember the smell of buttery pretzels floating in the air as you stepped into the glowing entrance of your local mall? The moment those automatic glass doors whooshed open, it was like entering another world, a world of color, sound, and the buzz of life. There was an energy in the air, something hard to define but easy to feel. It wasn't just shopping, it was freedom. It was belonging. It was the heart of a community. For many of us, especially those who came of age in the 70s, 80s, or early 90s, the shopping mall wasn't just a backdrop. It was the stage on which countless life moments were performed. It all began in the post-war era, as American suburbs began to stretch outward like eager arms. The traditional downtowns were still alive, but congested and outdated. A new kind of space was needed. And so in 1956, Southdale Center opened in Edina, Minnesota, the first fully enclosed climate-controlled shopping mall in the United States. Visionary architect Victor Gruen didn't just design a collection of stores. He envisioned a modern agora where people could meet, relax, and connect. It was a bold dream, and America embraced it with open arms. By the 1960s and early 70s, the mall became a fixture of suburban life. It was where parents could knock out errands while the kids begged for a quarter to ride the mechanical pony or sip a chocolate shake. Department stores like Sears, Montgomery Ward, and J.C. Penney anchored these cathedrals of commerce, while smaller shops offered everything from records to jewelry to the latest in plastic novelty toys. Escalators carried us skyward as piped-in music whispered through the air. There was something magical about it all. Even routine felt like an event. And then came the 1980s, the true golden age of the American mall. This was when the mall reached its cultural peak, becoming not just a place, but a symbol. Teenagers claimed it as their own, turning food courts into their kingdoms and clothing stores into their catwalks. The mall was where fashion was spotted, flirtation blossomed, and friendships deepened. It was the place you went to see and be seen. And even if you left with nothing in your shopping bag, you always left with something in your memory. Walk into the arcade, and you'd be greeted by a flickering sea of blinking lights and blaring beeps. Games like Pac-Man, Galaga, and Street Fighter weren't just entertainment. They were battlefields for honor and high scores. Tokens jingled in our pockets. Time disappeared in those neon glow caves. Across the hall, the food court promised a different kind of magic. Giant soft pretzels, sizzling slices of pizza, and sugary drinks from Orange Julius turned an afternoon snack into a celebration. Do you remember the thrill of discovering a new cassette at Sam Goody? Or flipping through posters at Spencer's Gifts? Or the wild joy of buying your first tube of glitter lip gloss at Claire's? Stores weren't just retail, they were rituals. Walden Books, with its hushed atmosphere and smell of fresh paper, felt almost sacred. Even Radio Shack, with its tiny drawers of electronic parts, made you feel like an inventor in the making. The mall had something for everyone, and in many ways it gave everyone something to believe in. And then came the holidays. If the mall was magic the rest of the year, it became utterly enchanted in December. Strings of lights wrapped around escalators. Enormous Christmas trees glowed in center court. Children lined up to whisper their dreams to Santa, their eyes wide with wonder. Carolers sang, fake snow swirled, and parents dashed from store to store in search of the perfect gift. Amid the chaos, there was joy, familiarity, warmth. We all remember those holiday seasons. The sparkle, the soundtrack, the simple pleasure of being surrounded by people and possibility. But the mall wasn't just a seasonal wonderland. It was also where you got your ears pierced, where you met your first crush, where you worked your very first job. Many of us wore the name tag of the mall, whether at the pretzel stand, the record shop, or behind the counter scooping ice cream. It was a rite of passage. And in those shared spaces, we learned responsibility, confidence, and how to fold a shirt perfectly under fluorescent lights. Some malls had fountains at their centers, glistening pools where people tossed coins and wishes. Others had glass elevators, tiled floors that sparkled like disco balls, or skylights that poured golden sun on Sunday afternoons. There were smells we still remember: popcorn, cinnamon rolls, new leather, cologne samples from perfume counters, and sounds too. The jingles, the buzz of conversation, the occasional announcement calling for cleanup in aisle 3. All of it created a soundtrack to our youth, a soft hum of memory. Let's not forget the quirks. Mall walkers, the retirees getting their steps in before the crowds arrived, the teenage couples holding hands, nervous and giddy, the photo booths where silly faces were captured forever, the mannequins with the strange fashion poses, the endless debates over whether to spend your allowance at Babbage's for a video game or save it for one more pizza slice. Every visit was a story, and every hallway held a dozen little dramas. But as time went on, the world changed. The internet arrived. Shopping became digital. The thrill of window shopping was replaced by scrolling. One click replaced 1-mile walks. And slowly the mall began to fade. Anchor stores closed, food courts grew quiet. The laughter of the arcade fell silent. Some malls were repurposed, others demolished, and many left to sit abandoned, ghost towns with echoes of a once vibrant past. Yet somehow in our minds and hearts, the mall remains. We still remember the Saturday afternoons spent beneath skylights, the clatter of heels on tile floors, the joy of finding that perfect jacket, or at least pretending to. We remember the people, the places, the feeling. And isn't that what nostalgia truly is? Not just the past itself, but how it felt to live in it. So if you've ever traced your fingers along the shelves of Sam Goody, if you ever sat on a planter and watched the world go by, if you ever met your friends at the fountain before splitting up to just look around, then you, my friend, lived through something special. A moment in time that won't come again, but which left its mark on millions of hearts. Even today, when we pass a mall, open or closed, we can't help but glance in and feel that twinge, that whisper, that wish to step back just for a moment and feel it all again. Because it wasn't just a building, it was a memory factory, a monument to moments, a place where real life quietly unfolded under bright lights and piped-in music. And though the golden age of malls may have faded, it glows brightly still in our stories, our senses, and our shared nostalgia. The mall was never just a mall. It was us, all of us, growing up, growing together, and growing into the people we are today. So let's remember it together. Share your favorite mall memory in the comments. What store did you always visit? What moment still lingers? And if this video brought a smile or maybe even a tear, consider subscribing to Memory Lane Media. Because here, we don't just remember the past, we bring it back to life, one story at a time.